Hey everyone, we got the Final Fantasy Type 0 banner yesterday, Ice Reaper Kurasame being the featured on banner near vision, super limit burst unit, and today we are going to take a deep dive into the unit, so let's get started. Like I mentioned, Kurasame is a super limit burst finisher or super limit burst unit, meaning no brave shift. Laser kit design, here we go again. So, as you can see, he also does not really have that many abilities. Most notably, and the biggest shortcoming, is his Grandis one single use, and that one single use does not even provide 300 attack, it is 280 attack and magic instead. Great stuff. It also is only 200% LB boost, which is rather weak. And yeah, his chaining, I mean 72x, nothing too special. It's bolting strike frames, which is rather cool, I guess. And yeah, he has the true Eidolon summon where he kills himself and fills LB gauge, but not full for everyone because it's only a 50 LB gauge fill. It is a full summon gauge or evocation gauge fill and removes all status effect from the caster, which kind of, yeah, that is what you usually do when you inflict unresistible death to yourself, right? The passives, let's zoom in a little bit. They are pretty much the usual. And one of the issues I am having with his kit is that he only has 200% innate attack and magic and only 100x cap, which, I mean, yeah, we've had the same with Cyan, so to speak. But with Kurasame, it's even worse because if you're looking for actual passives, such as attack passives, you will be missing a lot of them. So we do have 250 innately, and that's about it. That is all there is. Now, don't stress the Mac, because even though he does have all the passives for a hybrid unit, none of his damage is actually hybrid damage. As you've seen, he has ice physical damage and dark physical damage. And we'll see in a second that his limit burst is also just ice physical damage, not hybrid damage. So why they gave him hybrid stats but not hybrid attacks is kind of weird, but I guess Alim really hates hybrid units. One thing to note is he has 3 types of killers. Human, Dragon, and Machinas. Machinas being the best at 200, Dragons at 100, and Humans by 150. And if you're thinking right now that he might be a little bit tough to gear because you have to have Master of Fate, you probably either use Indestructible Light or Equip Helm. That's 2 slots down the drain already for these 2. And then you still have to get 150 attack and killers into this. Yep, you're thinking correctly. This is going to be a tough nut. And much harder than Cyan a couple of weeks ago. So let's move on to the limit burst. The standard limit burst, which I suggest you should never use because it's only 150x. It is a 150 LB boost for himself, which applies before the damage. It's a 25 Ice Amp physical magical and a 130 Ice Imperil for only 1 turn. Keep that in mind, but it's fine for that turn because the Imperil applies first and then comes the damage. It is also 27 attack hit, so keep that in mind. For the standard limit burst, it's Protector's Bayonet, which is kind of similar to Bolting Strike, but not quite, but they pair well. So yeah, bad limit burst. But the super limit burst, on the other hand, which I want to stress again, unlocks depending on your EX level. At EX plus 3, you get the super limit burst unlocked at turn 3. At EX plus 2, you get it unlocked at turn 4. And at EX plus 1, it's unlocked at turn 5. So the super limit burst, the only difference is 35% amp, 300%, 300x ice physical damage, and he buffs 100% human and machina killer. And yes, he dropped the limit burst damage. So yeah, not so cool, right? Not so cool. I mean, it's still a good modifier, but it's not good. But at least it's a single hit, which is kind of makes up for it. Alright, Trustmaster, Super Trustmaster, Trustmaster, 20% attack magic, again cool for hybrids, and 75% through double hand attack magic. Yeah, pretty good for a materia. Not gonna trash this materia, it is actually decent for a materia, but 75% is actually hardly ever usable. Especially because, as you can see indicated by the 1 in the top left of the icon, you can only use it once. So I'd much rather use Azure Radiance or Elena's, original Elena's Super Trustmaster, I forgot the name of it. Something Crystal probably. That's much better, even though it's an STMR, so comparing TMR to STMR is kind of eh. But yeah, it's okay, but it's a weird stat allocation. The Super Trustmaster is an accessory, and it's super good for hybrid units. 70 attack and magic, 100% def resistance, which is cool for arena most of the time. And type 0 units gain 300 static attack and magic, which is cool. But the static attack and magic do not stack. The news didn't say this. You have to actually take a look at the details of the Super Trustmaster to find this out. So don't get swayed by this. I mean, yeah, it's cool for hybrid units, but if you want 2 of these for Kurasame specifically, yeah, you're only getting 300 static attack and magic, which is kind of bad. And it pretty much shows that Gumi has a weird fetish for Final Fantasy VII. Because Tifa's and Arif's STMRs, for example, they do stack. So why does this not stack? It would be something that would make Kurasame a little bit better than Cyan, but spoiler, he's behind them, and the reason is that this static attack does not apply twice. But still, it's great for arena, it's superb still for type 0 units, and like I said, it's best in slot for actual hybrid units. The vision card is 50 base attack and magic at 1, 100 base attack and magic at level 10. We also, our users gain 25 LB damage, 50% attack magic, no strings attached, which is cool. And type 0 units gain 300 static attack, magic, defense, and spirit. Again, a great card for actual hybrid units, but you're probably going to end up using Celis's vision card. It's very similar to this for hybrid units, but it's another choice for hybrid units if you missed out on Celis, for example. It's also superb still for the type 0 gang, including Kurasame, and yeah, no attachments to the LB damage make it very useful regardless. And the sprite is pretty cool, I like it. Alright, so the damage calculation assumptions, they are back after taking a break last week. Still the same, Dark Vision Burst, 22.5k defense spirit, 90% breaks are applied, 400% stats are applied, 300 LB buff is applied. Read up on this, I suggest, because it's a lot of text, as you can see, and I'm right now thinking of how to consolidate all of this and make it say the same things but with less text. I am not quite sure how to do this yet, but I'll figure it out. So if you want to read through this, pause the video for a second, read through it, and continue. So this is the Kurasame build. As you can see, we only have really 2 slots that are free to use. That's the one where Supreme Victor and Crucifying Coercion come into play. Those are your only, well, 3 slots that you can use. I would suggest that you use Equip Helm for the simple reason that the Clash of Wills Helm has such high stats that it's actually worth it to use Equip Helm instead of Indestructible Light and use, I don't know, Red Hellebore, which is a strict downgrade. It's 30 less attack than Magister Celatite Crown of Will. So I think it's better to use Equip Helm with the Cow Helm equipped to it. He's also using Science STMR, which is probably best in slot for him. And in this build, he has to wear red and black battle dress plus for the 50%, I believe 50% attack boost. Because even with this build, he is not capped on attack percent. And that is the issue with Kurasame, because outside of his natural killers, being again Dragons, Machinas, and human? It should be human. Yeah, it's human. For sure it's human. He really struggles gearing. And yeah, I mean, if you're fighting a mech boss, he's superb, but outside that, I don't know. I mean, human is fine too, as you can see, but oh boy, does he have gearing issues. This is the competition, nothing too new here, so I'll just skim through this. I was too lazy to update Tifa, but you get the gist of it, I guess. Here's the magic teams. And Yigni. And here is the damage comparison. So if you're looking for Kurasame, he's at spot number 4, right below Cyan. And yes, you can see the reason is fairly simple. Yeah, the reason is fairly simple. He has a little bit less attack. So yeah. It's a solid 4th spot and 97% if I didn't make a mistake, but it doesn't look like. 70% on average damage of Cyan, which is okay-ish. But I do expect newer units to be better than the old ones we've gotten, so JP units, they don't really cut it anymore. I feel like that global exclusive units such as Sky and the rest of the gang that we've gotten, Bulwark, Yigni, Louise, Kresnik, they are all so much better in terms of usefulness than the latest units that we're getting from JP. And you kind of have to use him in conjunction with Celeste for the 45% Ice Amp, and that 45% Ice Amp is being factored in here. So this damage calculation uses Celeste's 45% amp, not Kurasame's amp. Just as a heads up. So yeah, and if you don't use the 45% Celeste amp, Kurasame drops even more, and I believe he'll be at 80%-ish, 87%-ish of science damage in that regard. So you really want to pair him with Celeste. So how does he fare in the meta? In Clash of Wills, unless the boss is super weak to ice, Kurasame is useless. He has no Brave Shift, his gearing is rather, well, bad, and we really want both a base form and a Brave Shift in Clash of Wills, and not having that, he will never make it the cut, I believe. Unless Clash of Wills bosses suddenly start being as simple as Dark Vision bosses, but I don't see that happening. They rather do unnecessary complicated fights than do them rather easy. In Dark Visions, on the other hand, Kurasame is great for that one stage where he'll be relevant, but unless the boss is weak to ice, he has no place. He brings that 130 Ice Emperor that Celeste was missing. He is a super limit burst unit, thus his value is immediately lower than any true Neo Vision unit, and like I said, he has gearing issues, making the missing Brave Shift even more of an issue. So should you pull? No. Do not pull this unit unless you really want to be highly competitive in Dark Visions. Or if you like the unit, I mean, if you like the unit and the style, the kit, etc., I mean, that's always a good reason to pull, but from a rationale point of view, you should really skip Kurasame. He has no Brave Shift, he's inflexible regarding gearing, and super limit burst units, and I will repeat this every single time, are only half of what they're supposed to be for the same price as an actual Neo Vision unit. And really, I do want to stress this, do not support lazy unit kit design. I will never pull on a super limit burst unit unless that unit is crazy levels of good, like double the damage of Sephiroth. I will not pull for any super limit burst unit. I do not condone super limit burst units. They are bad, they will always be bad. There's no way around to sugarcoat this. And with that, thank you all for watching. We'll see each other tomorrow for hopefully my Clash of Wills cap video. I really want to do this and get this over with. But for now, have a nice rest of the Friday evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you're from. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.